Good morning or afternoon, amazing agents from across the country. Today is April 12th, 2018, and this is Mastermind call number 172. And it looks like we got about 172 people on the call. It actually does. We have a record turnout. I'm predicting it. We do have 2 people in the queue. We got plenty of room for more. Just hit *6 and hit 1. Nothing is out of bounds. No question is too simple. We will not censor you. Anything you want to share. This is a open forum, and this is your call, so please don't be shy. There are a lot of people every week, and if you think, it's too basic of a question, I'm sure there's other people that have the same one. Let me go around the horn with my partners. Tim, anything you'd like to share with the group this week?
Not a thing. I'm just happy things are going along and enjoying getting to spend some time with some of our customers. I've had good opportunity to talk to people in the last couple of weeks that I hadn't gotten to, and enjoying hearing about what they're doing and how we're making our system better, and that's how we're growing. But that's all I got. Let's keep rocking.
Excellent. Chad, anything?
Yes, I know many people are waiting on me to not be in Sedona to get the next live probate mastery. It looks like the week of the 23rd, so I'm going to be heading back east where I have internet good enough to run GoToWebinar. So probably the week of the 23rd, we'll have probate mastery for the April session, and you'll see a couple of emails in your inbox whenever I actually get the session scheduled. So thanks, everybody, for your patience. I didn't expect the infrastructure to be quite so bad out here. So if you are waiting on mastery and you want to go ahead and get started, what I've been doing is I'll send you the recordings from the last class. You can go through those. If you need to work with me one-on-one, I'm happy to do that. And then I'll register you for the next live class as soon as it's scheduled. And you can do that under the Education and Training tab on our public site or in the subscriber portal.
Excellent. And Chad, I get asked a lot, and just for those of you that don't know, the fast track videos that we provide when you sign up it's really everything you need to get started. That's like Probate 101, but the Mastery course is kind of Probate 201. It's a much deeper dive into all aspects of probate. It isn't anything that you have to take to be successful. We have a lot of agents that don't take it. However, we've looked at our subscribers. The ones that do take it seem to do better, and they seem to stick around longer. There's a extra level of knowledge and confidence that you get taking that course, and it's about 6 to 8 hours of live interaction training with Chad, and afterwards, once you've taken it, you are an alumni, and you can take it every month after. You probably don't need to take it every month, but you can come back for a refresher anytime you want. And then, Tommy, anything you'd like to share with the group?
Oh, just remind everybody that we're here to help, and if you need anything, just send us an email to support@alltheleads.com, or if you're in your dashboard area under support, you can just hit contact us, and we track all those items and then assign tickets to the appropriate people to get back to you on a timely basis. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And this week we're switching over to an enhanced phone system, and there are times when we get each other's calls. There's times when we get each other's messages. As I always tell our subscribers, the best way to get help with anything is just send a ticket, like Tom said, to send an email to support@alltheleads and be very specific about what you need help with. We all read that, and if you do that, you're going to get the appropriate person to get back to you a lot quicker than if you start trying to call around to the various extensions. Not that we won't answer the phone, but that's kind of the fast track for getting help with whatever you need help with. All right, well, we hope we have 2 people in the queue. I trust we'll have more that'll jump in. Otherwise, we hope you guys have long questions, because we've got up to an hour today available. And if you would like to participate again, just hit *6 and hit 1. And let's go ahead to the first person in the queue, phone number ending in 2556. You're up first. Are you there? Phone number ending in 2556. You're unmuted and you're up. Can you hear us? There you are.
Hello?
Now we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, just to follow up from last week, I had this lady that I was going to list her property, and I met with her. The house is in foreclosure. It has a date for auction on July 15th. It had tons and tons of stuff, junk. It needs a roof. It needs a driveway. It needs all this stuff. And I told her we have to sell quickly as possible. And so I went ahead and got some offers. It's not listed, but I got her offers, and the highest offer was 104. So she said no, she has to have more, but in reality she's not going to get more, and if it goes into auction it'll probably go for 80. So she owes, the judgment is 91 total, and that's not including the rest of the interest rates once it stays up there on the market. So if you could get it sold now, say now, then she'd still make a little bit of money, but she says she has an obligation to the relatives, and there's 3 other relatives involved, nieces and nephews. Now, does she have to give those relatives money from this house? And she's the sister of the dead person.
Well, only an attorney can answer that question. Is there a will?
No.
Okay, then most likely yes. By state law.
Okay, so
state law.
She would have to. Okay.
So if there wasn't a will that excluded those people from the estate distribution, if there wasn't a distribution,
right,
then state law will prevail, and they are entitled.
Entitled? Okay, so then she would need more money. Okay, so that's one question, and then the other questions, I have 3 potential listings from the other calls I made, and it's going to be like in a month they're going to sell, and the other one was saying to follow up with him because he's going out of town or whatever. So I have 3 potentials, but they're not, and I talked to this lady this morning, and she said she had a realtor, and I said, "What, did you sign anything?" "No." I says, "Well, may I ask who the realtor is?" She says some name. I said, "Oh, I never heard of her." And I says, "But I'm right here in Palm Coast, and I could check on the house for you. Does the house have insurance?" "No." I said, "Well," she said she's not going to get insurance. I go, "Well, I would suggest you sell it as quickly as possible, but it's still in probate." I says, "I understand that, but you could still list it even though it's in probate." She goes, "Oh, can I?" And I said, "Yeah, I would suggest you get it on the market quickly because there's a lot of preparation you have to do beforehand, and I can also hire an inspector, and that's part of my service, and he could go over and inspect the house before we list it." So she took my name and everything, but I'll follow up with her, but I don't know if she's going to list with me or the other realtor.
Great job. This is Darcy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we recognize you. Yeah,
go
ahead.
I'm going to go back through those one at a time.
I'm trying to say it real fast so I don't take up a lot of time.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Let me get this out before I lose my points. So on the one you just referenced, I would go find an American Modern or a Vacant Express insurance agent, someone who can write those policies. And I would call her back and say, "You know what? After we spoke, I thought a little bit more about this, and it's crazy that house is sitting uninsured. These are 2 names that I would like you to call so you at least know what it costs to cover the asset." And then just segue that into the bigger conversation of, find a reason to get in front of her, because if not, someone else is going to get that listing, guaranteed.
Yeah, but see, she's not here. She's in Connecticut or somewhere else.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And
you
the
can
house
do it
is here.
That's even better. Jim listed 20-some houses in that close to you, and he never went on a face-to-face appointment. So that sometimes makes it even easier. Just find a reason to get back in front of her with value, and then lead the conversation into the reasons that she needs to actually work with you and get the home on the market. The next logical step would be, ask her if you can get access to the house. Someone, a caretaker, a neighbor, somebody usually has a key. So you have to say, can I go over there and check it out just so I can run a market absorption analysis or a CMA for you? And that way you at least know that what I believe we can get if we sell the home.
Yeah, but see, she said her realtor's checking on the house. And
I
said,
but are you willing to accept that?
well, no, but I don't know what to say. I'm just giving.
Listen,
yeah,
please.
I know. Go ahead. Okay.
So I'm trying to give you a way to get back in front of that realtor. So find ways to provide value to her. Bring the insurance agents to her. See if you can get over there and get a look at the house, and then bring her a CMA. Be more proactive than your competition, or they're going to get the listing.
Okay. All right. Now, what insurance companies do I give? Who are these insurance places to call?
The two that I've used are American Modern and Vacant Express. There's another Florida-specific vacant property. If you Google vacant house insurance Florida, there's quite a few that are down there, and I'm not sure. I don't think American Modern writes in Florida. I'm pretty sure Vacant Express does. Going back to your foreclosure scenario, so if you brought a cash offer for 104, that's awesome. Like you did everything right, but you've got a seller who's probably going to put themselves in a bad situation. So you've got a couple of options here. When is the sale date? Is the sale date scheduled?
Yeah, July 17th.
Okay, so you've got some time.
Right.
And if you price a home aggressively on your MLS, does it sell in a week?
It could, but see, 221 is probably the value of the house should be 249. That should be the correct value. However, with this house, I said the most I could probably list it for would be 219, and see what we can get. But the house is in such bad shape that I don't know if anybody would want it at 219.
Well, here's what I recommend. You're a very good buyer for this situation as a landlord, because rents are extremely high. So 104 is probably the rehab price. Like that's what a flipper will pay, and you're probably not going to raise that a whole lot. I used to take absolute crap houses. We would run them through our cash buyer list and get offers of like 80 and 90,000. All I had to do was go in and do a round of HDR photography, no matter how shitty this house was. If I did good photography with a good wide-angle lens and long exposure, even when the electricity's off, I would shoot 4-second exposures to make it really bright. I could do that. With good photography, I could put that same house on MLS, and I would sell it for 20 to 30% more than I failed to sell it through my own cash buyers list. And we called that wholetailing. It was kind of a retail wholesale, and we had our own term for it. It was like, well, I guess we better wholesale this one. So when the investors would hit low, we would put it on MLS, and with one exception, I had a young couple that had saved up like $30,000 to rehab a house, but every other one that I did that way, I sold to a landlord, typically retired with a portfolio of 12-plus homes, and they were willing to accept a 6 to 7 cap investment. So your likely buyer there is going to be a landlord that's in that neighborhood that will pay a bit of a premium for the house, because he's going to beat his crews up to get his construction costs down, and he's not paying the same construction cost as your flipper guy is. So my advice would be get that thing on MLS as quickly as possible at a price as aggressive as possible. So, and I would say underprice it before you overprice it, because you're trying to attract as many landlords as you can, and then get them in the highest and best situation. So I typically would list 10 to 15% under what I thought it would sell for, and then I would end up driving the price. And we were able to drive prices like 14% by listing 15% under. We were driving 14% over what we said we would sell it for. So you create that, you kind of create the frenzy. So that would be my advice. Go in low. If you think you can get 200, list it at $185 and watch the buyers fall all over themselves. And
I had another offer for
the other trick
95.
I'll tell you there on those types of houses, don't review offers for the first 7 days. So I would list mine on a Thursday night, like 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, so it would hit the hot sheet on Friday morning before the weekend. And in the private remarks, I would say all offers will be reviewed on, and it would be the following Friday at 5 p.m. So the house will sit there for 2 or 3 days, and you'll get no showings. And then all of a sudden, all hell will break loose, and you'll have buyer's agents like overly emotional, falling all over themselves. You don't have to play the bidding game or the highest and best game. They will bring you their best offers by Friday at 5 o'clock, and you'll be amazed at how you can drive price that way. And they won't understand it. You're gonna have to, and you know, buyers agents are like, well, I want to know now. My buyer wants to know now. And I'm like, well, you knew before you saw the house that I wasn't reviewing offers till Friday at 5. That's when I'm meeting with the seller. So all I can tell you, like, if you want, I'll put your offer in now, and then I'll pit all the other ones against you. Or would you rather just have the same chance that everyone else has? And they fall back into line, and they give you the offer, and then on Friday you review it. And what happens there, it's that auction mentality. So people, you know, buyers agents will get emotional and think about the commission. They'll go back to their seller and pump their price up. That's why you can sell homes vastly overvalue, even though you underprice them. And so that's what I would do with that house. I've had very similar situations, but I'm betting you can sell that house in a week.
Oh, yeah, probably, but it stinks. Another thing is it smells horrible.
It doesn't
Cigarettes?
matter. That's why I'm saying a landlord is your buyer.
Okay.
They've seen worse, I promise.
All right. Okay. I'll get back with her on this too and tell her we need to listen to this quickly as
Darcy, I have to congratulate you because you're relatively new at this, and less than a month ago, I think you were on a call telling us that they were all mean and nobody wanted to deal with you.
Yeah.
You were frustrated.
They're still mean.
Well, so I think the only thing that's changed is your attitude has changed a bit, and you've aggressively gone after it, and you're getting more confident. You're starting to get results. So that's good. Congratulations. And if you got 4 potential listings now, and basically your first month doing this, you're doing okay. You're going to convert your share.
Okay.
Okay.
If I get 3 a year, I'll be happy. You know what I mean?
Oh, you better do better than that. But yes, you're right. It probably pays for the cost of the program. But keep coming on and keep sharing. Thank you so much for participating.
Right.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is phone number ending in 5818. You're up next.
Hey guys, John here.
Hey, John.
How you doing? The question I had, and if you already covered this before, I apologize if this is redundant, but I want to utilize ringless voicemails, and I checked into a couple of different platforms already. So it's kind of a 2-part question. One is, what's the best platform? And then 2 is, what's a good script, or where can you point me to learn a good script for my voicemails?
So I would first educate yourself on TCPA, and I'll say that as my CYA. You need to understand the law around ringless voicemail. The platform that I like is it's called Voice Casting, and it's by Voice Logic. The reason I like that platform, it's a little more expensive than like Sly Broadcast. However, it delivers to any server-based email, not just cell phones. So if you hit a landline that's on a server-based email, then it will actually leave that message. So in my testing, I got about 40% higher deliverability rates using voice casting versus Sly Broadcast. The script that always worked, like what I did is, hey, this is Chad. I sent you a letter last week. Had a couple minutes at my desk. I just wanted to call and make sure you got it and you understood why we sent it. Give me a call back. And I don't identify as a realtor, investor, or otherwise. I'm just Chad. And I sent you a letter, wanted to make sure you understood why I sent it. And that prompted the most callbacks. I probably tried 24 different messages over the course of testing this, and that was the one that was most effective.
Oh, that's juicy.
I'll give you a little personal tip. The first time I did it, we give you 3 or 4 phone numbers per person, and it's not unusual that one of the phone numbers will be an old number, an incorrect number. Well, the first time I did it, everybody who was the wrong number called me back and like, did I inherit something? Did I win the lottery? So the next time I did it, I said, very similar to Chad, I said, hey, this is Jim. It appears from the county records that you're the executor of an estate, in Broward County, Florida. I may have the wrong number. If I do, no need to call me back. If you do have property in Broward County you'd like to sell, give me a call. And I just found that cut down a lot on the people calling me back that were not correct phone numbers. And like Chad said, I didn't say whether I was a realtor or an investor. I just left a generic email. Another thing is if you're going to leave a callback number, either use your cell phone or use a dedicated Google line. Don't use your office number, because as soon as the broadcast goes out, your phone will start ringing. That's a mistake I made the first time too, and the phone rang nonstop for about an hour. And I like them to go someplace where you can listen to the voicemails and prioritize them and decide which ones you want to call back first.
Gotcha. That makes sense. But one thing that we've found pretty helpful on just general outbound campaigns is to have the phone number that's on the caller ID that we program is to actually go to a voicemail, and then the phone number we leave at the end of the message go to where we want to actually talk to them if they call back, because we find that a lot of people will just call the caller ID without listening to the voicemail, and then a lot of times they're just a waste of time because they didn't know what you were about, and they weren't really qualified. But then the ones that called us back that listened to the whole voicemail, they were the high priority leads typically, because they heard what you were all about, if you did something that explained what you did at any level.
Yeah,
okay.
That's very true. I use Google Voice as my catch-all. So when I would send a campaign, I actually would put the caller ID number in, because my Gmail inbox would catch all the missed calls and voicemails that they left for me. And when I would sit down and call the missed calls, almost none of them had to listen to the voicemail. They immediately called back. So that's a really good strategy you've got.
Well, I thanks a lot, guys. I'll implement that. And then the other thing is, if Darcy has a delinquent house up there in Palm Coast, then feel free to pass my number on. I can probably get the seller more cash and reinstate their loan for them, because I have a strategy that we'll use to turn it into a group home for seniors.
Is this John Chen?
Yes.
Hey, so Darcy, if you're still on the line, John's in Orlando, and you guys can connect on our Facebook group.
Awesome. I'll look for you there, Darcy.
All right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
And John,
I'll
be down there. I'll be down in a couple of weeks. I know I owe you a lunch, so I'll see you in a few weeks.
Perfect. Talk to you
That's
soon.
great. That's awesome. We start doing deals on these calls, and we won't even look for a referral fee. You guys just get together and and put the deal together. All right. Thanks a lot for participating. We have two more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 7346. You're up next.
Hi, everybody. How are you today?
Great. How about you, Anthony?
Yeah, Tony. You just call me Tony. I'm here in Virginia. My question is, I noticed that y'all contact probate attorneys and get us appointments with them. Can you expand a little bit on that?
So what part of Virginia are you in, Tony?
Chesapeake.
Okay. And are you a subscriber?
I'm thinking of becoming one.
Okay. The reason I ask is my market is Roanoke, and we have 0 attorneys that do probate. In Northern Virginia, it seems to be like 20 to 30% of the deals will have attorneys. So it's a relatively new practice in Virginia, where in most of 90% of the country, almost every deal has an attorney attached to it. So what you might find is we won't have a whole lot in your market. But what we're doing, we're reaching out on a one-to-one call basis. We're calling the gatekeeper, getting through the gatekeeper, speaking with the attorney, and then setting up a face-to-face appointment. And what we train you to do is, really get clear on your offer and how that complements the attorney's business. So when you meet with them, that you really stand out from anyone else. Because what we find is typically attorneys are not referring business to realtors because they've had bad experiences and they don't really want to tie their reputation to a typical realtor. However,
right.
that makes it really easy once you show them that you've raised the bar for yourself and you're providing a different class of service. It's extremely easy to get these attorneys loyalty and get referrals immediately. And right
so
now,
go ahead.
We're tracking at about 6.75% conversion on those. So if we had a list of 100 attorneys in your town, it's likely we'll get you in front of 7 of them for face-to-face conversations next week.
I hear you. So, you're right here in the same state with the same rules, and you're not using that service. So, what are you doing and you're doing probate? What do you do?
They're just simply attorneys aren't involved in probate in Southwest Virginia.
So, are you going to the courthouse direct and getting a list? What are you doing there?
Yeah, I mean, that's how it all started. Like, I would go to the Roanoke City, and because it's Virginia, with the Commonwealth, I had to go to 3 different courthouses just to get one MSA of data. So I did Salem, Roanoke City, and Roanoke County, were 3 manual data pools with pen and paper, and then come back and skip trace to find phone numbers, then put it into a spreadsheet, and then finally do my mail merge and stuff my letters, and that was painful enough that I said there's got to be a better way. And I had the other gentleman on the phone, and we all kind of put our minds together and said, what if we could teach this and automate it across the country? And that's pretty much where we came from. So Jim had done what he had done in Florida. I was working on it in Virginia. We kind of crossed paths after not seeing each other for several years, and we quit doing it manually. We found a way to we built a better wheel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, and how much is the service?
It's every county is a little different because we use live researchers. Jim, if you want to give him your number, or if you want to.
Yeah, and were you, Tony, were you asking about the calling the attorney service or the probate lead service? Or both?
I'd say both.
Okay.
Both.
All right. Yeah. Right after this call, give me a call and I'll give you a code for your county. It's 954-281-4264. Every county is different. It's basically based on the number of man hours that it requires us to retrieve the data. And then the attorney calling service, we will call the executors for you for $2.50. We call all 4 phone numbers and field the return call. For the attorneys, it's a little more. They're harder to get through to, and we can't use automated, messaging services to call them. So the attorneys are $7.50 per attorney. But the good thing with the attorneys, you have a lot of duplicates. So if you have 100 leads in your market, there's probably only 15 or 20 attorneys that are doing them all. So generally it might be $100, give or take, for the attorney campaign. It's not expensive. It's a little more per lead, but it certainly makes a lot of sense if we can get you in front of some attorneys that are going to refer business to you long term.
Oh, well, and you might meet with the attorneys once in your career, where you're going to have to meet with a different group of PRs every month. So
exactly, I get it.
You may only run an attorney campaign 6 months for the rest of your career, and you'll be covered up in business
forever. Yeah. When you're running the leads through the courthouse, are you pulling data every 2 weeks, every night?
We pull every 30 days because we're in so many different counties and so many courthouses have different rules. So the system is built to basically turn every 30 days. We do try to make exceptions if we can. So if we typically have to pay the researcher for a second trip, so there's a bit of a price bump. But if you want it in shorter intervals, in a lot of cases, we can actually deliver that.
So I've mailed to probate before, and a lot of times, I just kind of started, but they don't want to hear about selling their house in the first. They're still shocked that somebody has died. Is that what y'all find? Is there a common practice where people are more open to sell their property after a probate, 4 months, a month?
So it's all about your approach, and I think that's what really makes our system unique and actually makes it a system. We teach you how to create a very broad scope of service. So think of yourself as the hub and a wheel, and real estate is one of the spokes, like conventional real estate. Cash, like investors, is one of the spokes. Clean-out crews, estate sale companies, nursing homes, senior moving companies, you name it. Anyone who could solve the pain they're going through right now can be a spoke in your wheel. And when you first initiate the conversation, you need to be talking from the hub, not from the spokes. So you need to focus on people and situation, and then find your segue into the real estate conversation. Because most people hold 80% of their wealth in real estate, so in order to sell and settle an estate, they need to sell the real property. But when you lead with that, you typically get the door slammed in your face. So you'll hear that. We have, at this point, probably close to 300 hours of archived content where you can listen to calls like this. We have role play calls. We have video training. All that stuff that's the common thread running through this is, it's a provide value first mindset, lead with value and try to help the people, and then you'll monetize the real estate.
Got it. Jim, what's your number? 954?
954-281-4264. Call me right after this call and we'll talk.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for participating. We have a couple more in the queue. Familiar one, Belinda's up next, 1189. How you doing, Belinda?
Okay, how are you all?
Wonderful.
Okay, so a couple of quick questions. The slide dial or the slide dial like feature you all discussed about maybe two people back. How does that fit into the format? Is that something like, say, for example, I noticed this last week or so I had some call reluctance where I would be able to maybe put people's numbers in and then leave like the voicemail message without them actually picking up. How does it fit into the scheme of calling and then letter call?
Well, we always tell everybody, ringless voicemail is a great tool if you aren't going to make the calls. So if you don't have the bandwidth or if you've got call reluctance, that's when it's better to drop a ringless voicemail than to do nothing.
Right.
If you find that you're not making your calls, I would suggest you hire our trained professional ISAs would be more effective. But
I went in to do that actually. For me right now, it's a little cost prohibitive. So I said, well, this just kind of caught my ear when I heard it today. But I had looked into that as well. But go ahead.
So it's a separate system. You'll log into their system. You'll upload the CSV sheet and basically trigger. You record the voicemail and you can trigger the campaign to the entire sheet. And then you basically sit back and wait for the phone to ring. And John gave some really good advice. Like if you let them if the number you show on the caller ID has them hit a recording that says, hey, this is Belinda, I've served a lot of families throughout the valley.
Yeah, kind of qualify and screen them.
However, I do work a full-time job, so I'm not always able to live answer the phone, so I set this message up just in case I missed you. So knowing your situation, that's how I would do your voicemail. And then for the ones who do listen to your whole voicemail, leave your cell phone number at the end of it, and then they'll call you. They'll call you from, if they listen to the voicemail and got your cell phone, you know that they've heard it because they called that line.
Right, and they listen to the end to get the number. Okay. All right, so that's like kind of a screening a soft contact or soft touch, and then a screening process, and it kind of filters people through. Okay, all right. And then the other thing about the attorneys, I also noticed too, you sent the email out saying that you all can call the attorneys now. And I'm just wondering for the attorney call, I don't have like an extensive track record, like, a lot of stats and this and that, where I've sold 50 houses a year, because I do it part-time, as you all know. So I'm wondering, do we need to have more experience before we tap into the attorneys, or I don't know, maybe it's a confidence problem.
Experience doesn't matter. That's just limited thinking. They don't give a damn how much experience you have if you do a good enough job presenting your service, right? So what they really care about is, what really gets their attention is when they meet a realtor who is offering something they've never heard of, they completely didn't expect from a real estate agent. And the way you want to present that is basically you have everything they're going to do and then everything the PR is responsible for. And your service is going to bridge that gap. Your service pretty much helps the PR with their 75% of the pie that they've been served. And if you can show the attorney how you can help their clients and make their business more efficient without being a thorn in their side and saying, where's my cash check? When's this closing? Then they will embrace you and actually kind of consider you a team member. And it's so, and you're clear on your offer. I mean, you've got a lot of stories. You've uncovered probably more complicated scenarios than any one person I've ever met. So, I mean, you've been in the trenches and you've been helping these families, and that's what really matters. It's not how many damn closings you have. It's how big is your heart and that you're leading with good intention.
Okay. And I guess it's probably going to require, at least on my part, I noticed that as I build more resources, actually get some team members in place that I feel confident about. Like, I had one clean out company that I referred. They actually did a good job. The client had good words for them. But I can put a little star by their name. And I'm looking for a very good estate sale company. I'm going to check out one this weekend that has an estate sale. So I'm kind of building up slowly, and I notice that as I build these team members, I have more confidence on the phone that I'm actually able to offer what I say I'm offering. I think that's what part of the issue was when me getting on the phone and not feeling absolutely confident when talking with people, because I felt like, well, I don't, of course I can go and I can Google something and look up some resources real quick, but they weren't tried and tested. You feel a little eerie about doing that because you never know how it's going to turn out. But then the last thing was I just wanted to kind of reach out to people that's on the call. The first call we had with the young lady on there that last week, I think it was, or a week before last, everybody was mean, and then this year she had some really good results to report. I mean, that's just so critical to hear on these calls because it's a real incentive, for other people listening. And in particular, it was very good for me to hear her come back and rebound from that and, just say how successful she's starting to be by hanging in there. That's just so important. I just want to kind of emphasize that for people that, that are having really good success or not, or having problems and working through challenges. It's just important for other folks to hear, too. So that's it. All right. Thanks a lot for your help.
Yeah, thanks, Belinda.
Thanks, as always, Belinda. Keep coming back. And all of you, too often we have agents that go through the initial mastermind calls. They have some success, and they don't come back again. So we appreciate agents like you coming back again and again and sharing with the group, give back what you learned from others to the other people that are on the call now. So thanks a lot, Belinda. We have one more person in the queue. We do have time for more. Just hit *6 and hit 1. Otherwise, oh, good. We got 2 now. Phone number ending in 5302. You're up next.
Hi, it's Russell. How are you?
Great. Hey, Raphael. Hey, buddy.
No, not Raphael. Russell.
Russell. Okay. I thought your voice sounded like Raphael. Gotcha. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
That's what some other people may call me, but at least today I'm Russell.
All right.
So that's really a question for Chris. You are about to start making attorney calls for me, and I've been working on some marketing pieces which I've just received from the printer. And my question is whether you have enough experience at this point to know, or what your opinion would be on whether before you start making the calls, I should, mail some of my marketing collaterals to the attorneys that you're going to be calling.
What's been most effective is let us set the appointment and then take that with you. And our beta group for the attorney calls was 15 agents spread out across the country over a 60-day period, so we had multiple campaigns. And what most are doing are taking a stack of trifold brochures, and sometimes they leave one, and sometimes the attorney actually asks them to leave the rest at the front desk. They're that impressed with the conversation. So I wouldn't spend the money mailing because 9 times out of 10 they're going to end up in the trash. But I would get the brochures and take a stack with you just in case they say, hey, can you leave 100 of these with me?
Right. Okay, and I guess my other question, since I've got you on the phone, is, as to the dialogue your ISAs are using, whether it's worth it to amend it at all, given my experience having probated my parents' estates and some of my other background, or is that, shall I say, irrelevant for the initial call and just go ahead with your scripted call as it is?
We don't have a set script. I mean, I think it's hard for a lot of people to believe. Our ISAs don't have scripts. They've been trained on the phone with me and Brandon, and they've listened to our role play calls, and they're actually sitting on this call right now. They're hearing these real life problems that you guys are going through. So don't say anything bad about them because they're going to know. So what we try to do is understand everybody's business, and we're getting to a point, Russell, hopefully in the next week or so, where we'll have an ISA information form where you can tell us, you'll answer 15 questions and tell us everything you want us to know about your business. And when the ISA pulls your order to make the call, that's front and center. So regardless of if this particular caller hasn't ever called specifically for you, they'll have the same information that the last one did. And on an attorney campaign, they'll have the same information they would on a PR campaign. So we try to speak intelligently as if we're calling from your office. It probably doesn't sound the same for any two agents that we work for.
Okay. So if I were to put together some information about me and send it to you, could you forward it to the relevant people?
Sure.
Okay.
And you can send it direct. It's Brandon@alltheleads.com. And if you've already placed an order, you'll be able to see an order number. You can put that in the subject line, regarding order number 2345, ISA information, and just have him.
Okay, I'm sorry. You said Brandon, BRANDON?
@alltheleads.com.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I wanted to add something to that. When I was an agent, if my claim to fame, if I had it, I made 100 prospecting calls a day, every day for 8 years. And this week, for the first time, I listened to some of the calls that Brandon and his team are making. And I have to tell you, I was very impressed. One call in particular, where the guy on the other line didn't even seem to have a pulse, and he basically said no. And it took I don't even know who it was. It might have been Brandon, might have been one of the other people, but it took him about 2.5, 3 minutes to turn that no into a maybe, and then that maybe into an appointment. So they're very pleasantly persistent, and I would agree. It was very obvious that they weren't following a script, but they were really just asking good questions and determining, if there was an interest. And if there's any interest at all, personally, if they were calling for me, I would rather have them be a little aggressive at closing than just shut down the first time there's an objection. And they're definitely pleasantly persistent. I was really, really glad to hear that on the calls. So I won't say anything bad about them, but I will say that good thing that I was very impressed with. And Chad, you had something to add?
No, I was just being agreeable. I mean, we've actually had people complain about getting appointments, and we're not charging per appointment. So if any time that we feel there's a motivation there, whether people's words don't always equal their intentions, and that's what I call probate quicksand. And you guys have heard me talk about this for years. We've talked about this. And when like our ISAs, I've been impressed with the intuitiveness that they have. They know when an opportunity is there. So if someone says, "Yeah, we're not real sure what we're going to do with it. We don't know. We haven't made up our mind," and they set the appointment, that's the perfect thing to do. That's exactly what they should do. Because with good leadership, that will go from, "Well, we don't know," to, "Holy shit, you took so much off my shoulders. How quick can we close?" And I've got story after story after story where that's happened. So, I kind of take the accountability. We haven't set the right expectation, but we're gonna put you on a phone appointment because we saw an opening for you. And if they're not gonna lay down, come list me, don't get upset. That's where your expertise comes in. That's where the ISA stops and the real estate agent starts. So you need to, people who are getting these appointments, I would say 80% of them are closing damn near every one, and others are like, well, they said, maybe they were thinking about selling it in the future. That's where your job starts, right? So kudos to our team. They do have, because they're not on script, they run on intuition, and they ask good questions, and we're really proud of that because that's what we teach, and that's what, if you're on the phones yourself, you should be behaving the same way.
Well said. We've got 2 more in the queue. Next up is 3 more in the queue. Phone number ending in 3908. You're up next.
Hey, guys. It's Sam in Richmond, Virginia. How are you?
Sam, where have you been?
I've actually been secretly listening to all of these calls all the time.
Well,
I am almost always on the call.
Today?
I'm not going to teach anything. I just want to know. Mark got the same email about the attorney, ISA program, and he forwarded it to me, and he said, we should be doing this. And I said, Mark, we live in Virginia. We don't have very many attorneys like that handle this that are on the records. But there are a couple, and my question is mainly, what are your ISAs saying to get through the gatekeeper for attorneys, for those of us like me who are making our own calls?
Well, that's patented and trademarked. Why would you ask such a question?
Because you're supposed to be helping me out, Chad. That's
we honestly kind of just like I just finished saying it. There's no set script. We try to learn about the agent and their experience and the way they run their business, and then we approach it. Each one's kind of a thumbprint. It's based on what we know about your business and what you want us to know about your business, and we approach it that way. So we're calling on behalf. I'm calling from Mark Hoffield's office. Trying to reach Attorney John Doe regarding case number, is John available? Hey, John, I just wanted to call because Sam is like the most amazing person in the world, and she really wants to have lunch with you on Saturday. Could you let that golf game go so she could meet up with you and pitch? But so no, it's each one's it's specific. It's each one's a little bit different based on what we know about the agent. But the idea is to be specific enough to get past the gatekeeper where you can actually have the conversation with the attorney, and that was the golden key. Because in the past, and I had to eat crow on this because I've said, it doesn't work, don't call them, just go see them, go visit, and I still stand by that. You'll be more effective going in person, and especially for you, Sam, knowing the way you're approaching this, and you do everything just right. I would much rather see you, if you just have a handful of attorneys, and I'm giving up revenue here, but I'd rather see you go face-to-face than pay us to do it on the phone. Because they're going to feel your good intentions, and they're going to know you guys are doing the right things for the right reasons, and because there's so few, it's not going to eat up a whole lot of your time.
Okay.
And Sam and Chad, you should just tell everybody, Sam is probably the most successful. She's not one of our ISAs. One of our customers had Sam long before they met us, but she's probably better at this than anybody else in the country making the phone calls. And Sam, I was going to tell you what we have been kind of pleasantly surprised by is the attorneys seem more willing to talk to an admin person or a staff person or a ISA than they are the actual agent. And I think that may go to the fact that attorneys have assistants that handle their calls, so they seem to respect agents that are big enough or successful enough to have the same. They seem more willing to talk to the ISAs than they are the agents. So
plus, I think they're probably there might be some if they get an admin or an ISA on the phone, they're less likely to be sold to than if they get an agent on the phone who's just looking for a referral or looking for something like that. So
absolutely makes sense.
I just didn't know if you guys had any specific language that you were using, but I think a big thing that Chad said that I like is, I'm trying to reach attorney so and so regarding case number whatever, because it sounds a little more official. And then if you're leaving a message, like say that you're not getting through the gatekeeper and you are leaving a message, are you just stopping it there, like have him call me referencing this?
I mean, honestly, I would mark it as a follow-up and just call back.
Okay.
Because of just knowing attorneys, you're better off to just keep making the call until you get the live answer on it with the attorneys.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam.
All right. Thank you so much. We have several more people in the queue. Looks like next up is phone number ending in 0045. You're up next.
I just need that number again, 954-28.
954-281-4264. And I'm probably going to be on the phone for a while after this, but if you leave me a message, I will get back to you usually within 10 or 15 minutes at the most.
Okay. All right. Great deal. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We have two more in the queue, and we have probably our newest subscriber. Marcy, you're up next. Now, you've been with us for several hours. How many listings have you taken so far?
Actually, I'm sorry. I kind of jumped on really late. So, I kind of missed the information. I'm actually a broker and an attorney. So, once I get your ISAs to make the calls and get appointments, do you think it's going to go against me if I mention that I'm also an attorney, or is it going to be, just basically be upfront about that? Because I don't know if they're going to...
Do you have an active practice?
an attorney practice?
Yeah.
Well, I did before, but I do a little bit of stuff, but I would be doing mostly real estate.
So I'm
licensed. I'm licensed.
Yeah. So you may just phrase it. I'm a member of the bar, but my primary with a primary focus on real estate brokerage, and just pitch it that way. So they're not seeing you as competition. They're seeing you as a real estate broker who also speaks their language.
Oh, okay. Well, I wouldn't be doing probate law. I'd be doing, I kind of do other transactional stuff, not all probate.
Right, and that's my point. So just let them know that you're a member of the bar, so you speak their language, but your primary focus is to work with them as a real estate broker, not an attorney.
Oh, okay. All right. And how many? I know someone mentioned about the follow-up, letters and all that kind of stuff. What kind of time span is it good to do all of that follow-up? Is it like compressed time span or like over 6 months?
No, you're better off to spread it over, as long as ideally the time period should be until you've spoken to each and every personal representative and know for a fact they need your help or not. But that becomes a budget issue. So what we teach is kind of the minimum effective dose is over a 3-month period. You send one letter and follow that with a phone call each month. So you get your first one out. Get the first one out immediately, because some people will just want to dump the asset and move on. But other people will take time. And if you can afford it, the more touches in your campaign, the better. And our system is designed in such a way that each step of the campaign, we reduce your marketing costs. So if you look under the option status tab in the contact record, you can see opt out or remove from calls, remove from mail, remove from emails. That's built to save you money. So if you start with 100, the second touch in the sequence, you might have 50. The third touch, you might have 25. And if you use the CRM the way it's designed, it'll make you really efficient and save you money. And eventually, you'll be able to track when you down to the very last PR when you've spoken with them. And you could do 3 letters and call them and call campaigns until you've exhausted the list. Most people, even the successful people on these calls and in our case studies, most people just do the 3 and 3. But we do have people that will mail for up to a year, and no surprise, they get a lot more business because and the more you follow up, you never know when these people are going to respond. And we've got tons of stories. I mean, we did an ISA campaign for a gentleman who he signed up and in 14 months had not picked up the phone or mailed a letter. And I think since the middle of January, we've set something close to 30 appointments for that subscriber. And that was old data. It was as much as 15 months old in some of the campaigns. And we've set 30-some appointments off of it. And,
oh, wow.
And this
Great.
is in a market with a median price of about $800,000. So thankfully, he saw a ginormous ROI even after waiting for so long. So this data doesn't go stale because there's a million variables, and every family's going through it, and it's a different and unique experience. And some of them just take time. So it takes time to get over the emotional and physical hurdles of getting ready to sell both personal and real property. So the longer you stick with them, the more likely you are to get the full potential out of the system.
Okay. And how often do you have these teleconference calls?
We do this call every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and we do a live role play call the first Wednesday of every month at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
And you have 171 of these to listen to, so clear your calendar. You're busy until June.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Darcy. We have about 5 minutes left. We might run a little bit over today, guys. We have 2 more in the queue. We want to make sure we get to everyone. Next up is phone number ending in 4454. You're up next.
Yes, how you doing? My name is Jose Torres, and I'm not a member of your program. I'm a real estate investor, and basically I've been listening to your calls, Mastermind calls, and taking notes. My question is, when you approaching a attorney, right? And I was talking about this with another real estate investor that he he's in the probate niche in up north. I can't remember where, but he told me. I asked him what value proposition can you bring to a attorney that will give you, that will give you access to his time. And one of the things that he mentioned was to, that you should get in contact with appraisers, um, and create basically, try to put together a team of people that will help you, create value when you bring to that attorney. And it also will be bringing also a real estate agent that, but I know real estate agents, they can do them themselves. They don't need me to do that. And what do you suggest? Do you have any suggestions?
Just what you said. I mean, that's exactly what we teach. So
Okay.
you build a team around yourself to create real value and differentiate yourself, because almost every other real estate investor is they're focused on dollars. They're reading the damn Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
They've got Grant Cardone in their car playing, and they're focused on the Benjamins, right? So it's really freaking easy to compete in that industry, because all you have to do is actually put the consumer's interest first. And having a realtor on your team it's not conflicting. So in my experience buying homes and being a realtor, the people who I bought homes from at a wholesale price had no interest in this world of even speaking with a real estate agent. They were willing to leave equity on the table. I told them they were leaving equity on the table. They didn't want to hear about a conventional listing. And Jim, I think, will echo what I'm saying. Like, there are two very different transactions that require two very different people. Like most realtors don't have a good skill set to be a savvy investor. And it's unfortunate. I think that we're kind of bridging that gap, but most investors don't really know how to service the way real estate agents do. So if you build the team where you can cover the full spectrum, nothing's in conflict. It's all in harmony. So yes, go get yourself a realtor. Go get yourself an appraiser. Get in the state sale company. Get a senior moving company. Create this broad scope of service, and I guarantee you there's not been another investor through that attorney's door that has gone that far. So, like I said a couple callers ago, it's not hard to impress these people. You just have to provide real value where other people aren't.
I see. All right. Well, thank you very much for answering my question. All right, I appreciate it.
How are you getting your data, Jose?
I'm getting it from other resources. The only thing that they don't provide addresses of personal representatives. And I was considering your company, and I never pulled the trigger. So
I'll tell you one thing, and then I'll get off my soapbox. Data is a commodity, and we're not a data company. This call exists, and you've got 155 people sitting here because we've got your back, and we do this one-on-one on the phones all week long. It just happens to be recorded for this hour. You've got 4 owners of a company, 4 executives on this call that literally help people day in and day out. We help you put deals together. We help you beat the learning curve. We help you build your team. So thanks for being here. We give this call away, and we like people to come and kind of hear what we're about. But if you're out there skip tracing and working your butt off to run this as a manual system, take a closer look at what we do. We can automate all this for you, and we got your back.
All right, I will definitely consider that. And listen, I really appreciate what you do, because this is there's a lot of good content that you guys provide, and that's why I try to come into these phone calls, and I will definitely consider what you told me. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, and we are going to go about 5 minutes over at least, guys. We have 2 more in the queue, and I think we're going to cut it up. We're going to respect everybody's time and cut it off this week at the last 2 that are in the queue. And the first one up is phone number ending in 1660. You are the second to last up this week. Fire away.
Hey guys, it's Lucky again.
Hey, Lucky.
Like I'm turning into a regular caller here, but just a real quick question. I guess my ISA is up. I got email saying that they had already done it. Didn't get any. Well, I didn't get great results, but I truly believe what you guys are preaching, that these leads. I've been in this business a while. I've just never had anybody that was, coming from contribution or wanted to be in the help end of the deal when it comes to prospecting. So after my assay is done, I truly believe that a lot of these leads are still hot leads or leads that eventually will turn into something. How long after they've made those phone calls should I go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to send out another email, or okay, now it's time for me to get on the phone? Is there a time frame, or should I just say, okay, didn't get very good results, let's get back on the phone, or let's send out another mailer? What would you suggest there? That's part one of my question. Part two is I found out from you all through Vulcan 7. And I'm starting to see that your guys' software, or the program that you guys are using to record stuff, controls or gives me a little bit more information. Are you seeing a lot of your agents doing successful through Vulcan 7? I'm not trying to steer away from them because I did find out through there, but I don't, if there's more cost involved in just having Vulcan 7 just for a dialer, I think we can manually dial them. So those are my two questions. I'll shut up and listen to y'all.
So I'll go backwards. And Ren is a personal friend of Jim's and a good partner for all the leads. We've got a good relationship. We'd never take business from him. His system is great as a dialer. So and we have tons of people who are probably on this call that use it, that also get our leads. Most people are using Vulcan as the dialer, and then when they have a good lead, they'll actually manage it the rest of the way through our platform, through the My Probate Lead CRM. So if you're using a dialer, it can give you a lot more efficiency than our system will in its current state. So you can use the dialer to find the hot leads and then come over into the system. And a lot of people will run a dialer session, and at the end of it, just like our ISAs do, we use a separate dialer. And then after the session closes, we'll come into the subscriber CRM and do all the opt-outs and put the notes in. So we're actually managing it in the All the Leads CRM, but we're using a separate dialer software. So that's how a lot of people manage it. The other question you had is about kind of the interval. What we teach is a minimum of 3 letters, 3 phone calls, spaced out 30 days. Spaced out 30 days between touches in the sequence. If you want to be more aggressive and call, some people call weekly. I don't recommend leaving voice. If you're going to call every 30 days, leave voicemail and wait 30 days. If you're going to call every week, then back off the voicemail and just make sure you make your follow-up calls every week. You don't want to be filling people's inboxes and becoming a pest if they're not ready to talk to you yet. But a missed call is less intrusive than a full inbox. And we have some people who are, they've mastered FSBOs and expireds, and they jump into this with the same tenacity, and they aggravate the hell out of PRs, call them every single day, and they pretty much burn their chances. So you've got to look at, consider their situation. Again, like the key to this is empathy, right? So put yourself in their shoes. And then think, okay, how often is too often, and what's the right balance for me to be touching them? And I think every 2 weeks is very reasonable if you're not leaving voicemails. Every 30 days is certainly reasonable. Like if you're calling somebody once a month just to make sure they understand your service and reach out to help them, that's not intrusive. I mean, you're offering help. So you just kind of look at your style and look at, at whether you're leaving voicemail or not, and decide where that line is for you.
Okay, so when you all did my ISA, did you leave voicemail, or was it just we'll call the next number on the board?
Yeah, unless you instruct us not to, our default is to leave voicemail.
Okay.
And that's why we leave the lines open. We give you 2 full business days with the lines open to capture your callbacks before we close out your campaign.
All right.
All right, thank you, Lucky. These leads do season well, so hang in there. Believe me, you're just at the beginning of your campaign. I'm very confident it'll start to pay off for you. And we have and thank you for your kind words. We really do appreciate it. Last up this week, and I apologize this is our longest call, but I do want to get to everybody. The last up is phone number ending in 4110. You're up last.
Oh, that could be a bad thing. I'm new.
No pressure. Say something brilliant to finish the call.
So, I had a question in regards to the service that you guys offer. So, I've been a real estate agent for 6 years, but being new to probate and the prospecting that goes with that, is it? I don't know. How many your ISA service that you offer? How many do you recommend that you start with to see some type of result? If I were to choose a service like that to start that out for me.
Well, first of all, we recommend if you have the bandwidth, make the calls yourself. But if you don't, or you're not going to make them, use the ISAs. And every county has a different lead count. If you have the budget to do it, we would certainly recommend that you have them call all the leads. Not a play at our day, but all the leads you're getting for your county. I don't think is that what you're asking? I don't think there's a minimum amount or a maximum amount.
I guess I was asking, like, what is the ratio of, you call 200 and you're, potentially get 10% of that or something.
Yeah, no, Chad has all those numbers. Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, so we're tracking at about 3% conversion in our call center, and that means it takes us 48 leads to set an appointment. And what we're finding is 2 and 3 appointments are being converted by the agents into listings and closings. So that converts to about 3% conversion. So if you call 200, you should expect about 6 closings over the quarter. Now that's, if you stick with it, if you're running the campaign the way we teach, you can expect, about 3 per 100. Now we certainly have people that do leaps and bounds better than that. We have people getting 35 leads a month that are doing over $1 million GCI, and we certainly have people who have never done a deal. So but proper expectations. Our ISA is converting at 3%. A lot of agents doing it on their own are converting around 2%.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Hey, thank you for everybody we had 155 people, and almost all of them are still on the call, so we really appreciate it. This is our longest call ever. I think it's probably one of our best, and certainly the best as far as participation and a variety of questions, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate you being here. I always end these calls the same way, by thanking everybody for taking an hour and 10 minutes out of your day to be here and challenging all of you. We heard some great ideas, great inspirational thoughts, some really good practices on this call. I challenge everybody, take one thing that you heard on today's call, go out and put it into practice, and come back and share the results with the group next Thursday. Make it a great week, guys. We will talk to you same time next week. Take care.